But first, from our 8 News Now investigators, a Valley home searched in connection to the Tupac Shakur murder investigation nearly 27 years after his death. Thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. Metro Police confirming they searched a home as part of their ongoing work to solve who killed the rapper and hip-hop icon. 8 News Now investigator David Charnes breaking this story. David, what are you learning tonight?
Right, Denise, sources telling the 8 News Now investigators this search involves Duane Davis, also known as Keffe D. Davis speaking publicly about the night Tupac died in videos on YouTube and in a book. It's a murder that shocked the world of music. 25-year-old Tupac Shakur shot 4 times inside this BMW in this intersection near the Las Vegas Strip in September 1996. He would die from his injuries 6 days later. 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy speaking exclusively with paramedics in 2016.
We brought the gurney up,
over,
just pulled him out.
Pulled him out, and that's when, everybody was yelling, Tupac, Tupac.
Over the last 27 years, Metro Police have made no arrests, suspecting a rival gang targeted the rapper after a Mike Tyson fight. Someone in another car shot Shakur. The question, after all these years remaining, who was it? Sources telling the 8 News Now investigators Tuesday the warrant served at a home in Henderson Monday involves 60-year-old Duane Davis, also known as Keffe D. He's made several public statements about a possible shooter. Sources say detectives may have been looking for writings or documents connected to a book Davis recently published. People at the home declined to comment Tuesday, warning things could escalate should we stay outside or record them. Right now, nobody is in custody, and a quarter-century later, police have never filed charges in this case, a case Metro says it is determined to solve. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
Our CBS affiliate in Los Angeles reporting Davis is on tape confessing to being in the car with the shooter. Nevada does not have a statute of limitations in murder cases.
The arrest of Keffe D puts his Henderson neighborhood in the spotlight. Our
8 News Now investigators team coverage continues now with Kyle Payne outside of the murder defendant's home.
Almost an eerie quiet here in this Henderson neighborhood, which has become today one of the centers of the news and entertainment universe. Neighbors finding out that one of the residents here charged with a notorious murder.
I didn't know there was an arrest this morning. Like I said, this is a quiet neighborhood. I've been here 20-some years, and never had any problems. But I had no problems with them either. I didn't even know they were there.
But they were there, at least until Keffe D got arrested, sources say, in this Henderson neighborhood. None of the neighbors we spoke with saw or heard anything this time, far different from the scene several weeks ago when they searched his home.
Hands on top of your head right now. Hold on, my lord.
Today, even though the neighborhood's Facebook group, which called itself Section 27 Neighborhood Watch, circulated a couple of rumors about the arrest, nothing the 8 News Now investigators could confirm other than surprise.
Yeah. There's several other neighbors are all surprised too, so it's I guess exciting.
You know what happened here today? A little exciting also at Keffe D's doorstep, where we tried to speak with the man in this car who said he was there to see Keffe D's son, who neighbors say also lives in the home. He did not want to talk.
No comment.
No comment from anyone inside Keffe D's home either.
Hello?
Hello, Channel 8.
What do you want?
We wanted to ask a couple questions.
Get away from my door.
The last time an 8 News Now reporter was on this street at this house for this story, the family said to get off their property or things would escalate. Reporting in Henderson, Kyle Payne, 8 News Now.
Public records indicate that Keffe D does not own the house in Henderson. By all accounts, that home is in his wife's name.
A judge sets bail at $750,000 for the man accused of ordering the murder of Tupac Shakur.
And this is a case our 8 News Now investigators blew wide open this past summer. Well, now Duane Keffe D. Davis has a chance to get out of jail pending trial.
8 News Now investigator David Charnes shows us what happened from court and plays the audio recording Davis believes gave him immunity.
The problem for defense is that their defense is our client's a liar. That's the defense. Our client is a liar.
Prosecutors hoping to send Duane Davis to prison for the murder of Tupac Shakur say Davis's own statements work against him.
So you hand the gun to the back seat?
Yeah.
In addition to interviews in his book, Davis spoke to Los Angeles police detectives in this 2008 recorded interview the 8 News Now investigators obtained.
He leaned over on the window, we rolled down the window, popped. They would drove on my side, I would have popped them.
Davis believes this conversation gave him immunity, even though it happened outside of Metro Police's jurisdiction. Prosecutors say Davis called the shots, but his nephew fired the bullets that killed Shakur. Davis's public defenders say his comments and others from purported gang members muddy this case's waters.
Part of the problem is this case has been tried on YouTube already.
As Judge Carly Kearney weighed setting bail, prosecutors pointed to a witness list they say another public defender, not even assigned to the case, provided Davis.
It was probably both unethical and ridiculously dangerous to provide a list of 39 people and tell Mr. Davis that these are people that have provided information to the police.
They claim Davis then told a family member the list of names and that those people may have been threatened.
This wasn't any surprise. Duane know everybody on there. Half of the people on that list aren't involved in the case. Half the lists are dead.
We did not receive a response from that public defender. Davis's public defenders say they do believe he can post bond. That would be just above $100,000. If he does get out of jail, he will be confined to house arrest, and his trial, however, was scheduled to begin this summer but will likely be delayed. The attorney for the man accused of ordering the murder of Tupac Shakur says his client is close to posting bail and could soon await his trial from his Henderson home. That development as a judge moves that trial to later this year. 8 News Now investigator David Charnes speaking with that attorney. And David, he says this is going to be big.
Yeah, Kirsten, so big he needs more time to go over the evidence prosecutors have against his client. Now, if this schedule holds, Duane Davis would go on trial in November. And today his new attorney says he can win.
Well, it's the biggest case that since O.J. Why wouldn't you want to take this case on?
It's a big case Duane Davis's new attorney is taking head on. Davis, charged with murder in the death of Tupac Shakur, hiring Carl Arnold in January.
Page 6, Duane Davis.
In court Tuesday, Arnold asked a judge to give him time to review the evidence, pushing a trial to November. Prosecutors allege Davis was the shot caller, ordering the rapper's killing a block off the Strip. Over the past several years, Davis has made public comments about that night and handing the shooter a gun, though police never found the weapon. Arnold says prosecutors will have to prove truth beyond Davis's own words.
Right now, the state hasn't provided any evidence to corroborate the statement that he's given.
Metro Police arrested Davis in September, and he's remained in jail since. Arnold says his client is close to posting the $75,000 he needs to go on house arrest.
He's upbeat that he can possibly get out of here real soon.
In the meantime, all eyes are on the fall.
It's going to be a great trial, I'll tell you that.
So if Davis comes up with that money to post bail, remember his total bail is $750,000, but he just needs to put up a portion of that. He'll have to go before the same judge again and tell her just who is paying for it. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
Thank you, David. If the trial schedule holds for November, it will mark 28 years since Shakur's death.
You do not think he had any involvement in the murder of Tupac Shakur?
No.
None?
None.
He was not there?
No, I don't believe he's there.
The lawyer representing the man accused of orchestrating the murder of Tupac Shakur says we shouldn't believe his client as he prepares to represent him in what's being set up as the year's biggest trial. And tonight, that attorney is sitting down with one local journalist, and that's 8 News Now investigator David Charnes. Thanks for joining us. I'm Denise Valdez.
I'm Brian Loftus. Our 8 News Now investigators broke the news of the raid at Duane Keffe D. Davis's house. That set off his arrest and now his criminal case in the murder of the hip-hop icon.
And now his attorney says don't believe him. Here's 8 News Now investigator David Charnes with the interview you will only see on 8.
He's a liar then? That the statements...
I would definitely say he's a liar.
Defense attorney Carl Arnold says we shouldn't believe what 60-year-old Duane Keffe D. Davis has to say about the shooting of Tupac Shakur.
He keeps repeating this, is that the whole thing is unfair. He feels that he had protection from his earlier statements that were made.
Those earlier statements to police in California who were investigating not the death of Shakur, but the death of Notorious B.I.G.
He didn't have any information, but said, hey, let me try to, rehash this Tupac murder, give you some information that he heard on the streets, and he filled in the gaps as they were asking questions.
Arnold says Davis lied about his alleged involvement in Shakur's murder, saying he was in the shooter's car and handed him the gun. That eventually unraveled, according to Arnold, where those private statements to police turned into public interviews, paid interviews.
He's sitting over there, how come I didn't make any money on this? And now someone's presenting him with the opportunity to make some money, combined with, okay, he's looking at these are his last years of life. Let me tell my story.
So isn't it kind of stupid to do that and then get hit with a murder charge?
Yeah, it was really stupid. But then again, here's what he's thinking is, he already said all these things way back when.
Arnold says it's now up to prosecutors to prove Davis's own statements are true beyond a reasonable doubt. And as far as Arnold knows, there's no video or DNA evidence to prove that.
How do you defend those statements?
Again, there's no proof of that. That's the first thing.
So his own words you can't take for granted is what you're saying?
Correct. There has to be some type of corroboration. Anybody can say, well, I gave this person the gun and he shot Tupac.
So if he didn't do it, does he know who did?
No, he does not know who did.
And why should we trust Keffe D now?
You shouldn't trust Keffe D. You absolutely shouldn't. And that should be the thing that causes him to walk.
Arnold says he plans to subpoena Suge Knight for the trial. Knight is the only living witness and was driving the car Tupac was riding in. Arnold also says another witness we could hear from, Sean P. Diddy Combs. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
Davis remains in custody on $750,000 bail. Arnold and prosecutors back in court next week to tell a judge how their preparation for the scheduled fall trial is going.
They're not only ugly on the outside, but they're ugly on the inside too.
Duane Keffe D. Davis lashing out at prosecutors during another hearing about releasing him on bail.
And you just use something in the boxes. They just use something in the boxes. From 1996.
Those boxes contain a 2006 interview from a gang member who prosecutors say implicates Davis in Shakur's murder.
Makes that statement 2 years before any confession the defendant ever made.
But speaking out of turn, Davis says he believes those boxes came from retired LAPD detective Greg Kading, who interviewed Davis as part of the investigation into the death of rapper Notorious B.I.G. In a recorded interview, Davis told Kading what happened in Shakur's case, believing he would have immunity.
The boxes should not be allowed. I've been at his house for 15 years, and he's doing interviews, going in the boxes.
Well, Tuesday's hearing centered on that new evidence. The main reason was Davis's bail, the judge denying Davis's first attempt over concerns the man putting up the more than $112,000 was really a middleman. She also said she was concerned Davis could profit off the alleged crime, but Davis's attorney says no law prevents that until a person is convicted.
Right now, his son, myself, even he can enter into a contract with any media entity and make money on this case.
Now, a judge refusing to dismiss the case against the man accused of orchestrating the murder of Tupac Shakur. Thank you for joining us at 4. I'm Kirsten Joyce.
And I'm Brian Loftus. Duane Keffe D. Davis says he was there when the rapper and hip-hop star died, and prosecutors say those statements are really the key to their case.
8 News Now investigator David Charnes in court as a trial gets ever closer.
Clark County District Court Judge Carly Kearney declining to dismiss Duane Keffe D. Davis's murder case Tuesday after hearing arguments from his attorney about why she should drop it.
We cannot have just the confessions, because if you just leave that to the jury's going to just assume guilt because he confessed.
Those confessions in Davis's book and in TV interviews where he said he was there the night in 1996 when Tupac Shakur was shot and killed. Davis has said he handed Shakur's killer the murder weapon.
Mr. Davis chose upon himself to publicly confess to a crime multiple times.
Prosecutors say they accelerated their case against Davis once he published that book in 2019. But Davis's attorney says they waited too long, 27 years to charge him.
They just can't sit here and say, well, he kept talking about it. No, you had that information in the beginning. You should have arrested him back in 2009.
Over the years, Davis met with police in California and Nevada. He thought he had protection from the law regarding the murder case, but prosecutors and the judge disagree.
Only a court in the state of Nevada could say Mr. Davis has immunity from the crime of murder in the state of Nevada.
Right now, a trial in this case is scheduled for March, but that is unlikely to happen. The judge ordering everybody back in February to talk about if they're going to be ready for that date. At the Regional Justice Center, I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
And the judge has declined to release Davis on house arrest over concerns he could profit from his criminal case. She previously set his bail at $750,000. Brian?
The man accused in the murder of hip-hop legend Tupac Shakur giving his first interviews with 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy. You're watching 8 News Now at 6. I'm Brian Loftus.
I'm Denise Valdez. Vanessa has been visiting him in jail actually now for months as he proclaims his innocence and insists he'll soon be released.
Duane "Keffe D. Davis insists he was not involved in the murder of rap legend Tupac Shakur.
So were you there that night in that car? What was your role?
No, I wasn't there. I wasn't there at all. No car or nothing. I wasn't even in Vegas. They ain't got no proof of it in Vegas. They ain't got no gun, no car, no Keffe D, no nothing.
Shakur's murder, an unsolved case since 1996 when he was shot and killed near the Las Vegas Strip. As first reported by the 8 News Now investigators, Metro Police arrested Davis in 2023 after he wrote a book and gave interviews stating he passed the gun to the shooter.
I was just trying to make money.
How much money do you think you made from the book and the interviews?
Davis insisting he'd be released from jail since our first visit with him back in September. Clark County District Court Judge Carly Kearney set his bail at $750,000 with a requirement to know exactly where the money is coming from to make sure Davis wouldn't profit from the case.
I'm an American citizen. They act like I'm guilty before I give the chance. It's not Russia. This ain't Iran.
He claimed he previously made an immunity deal with the federal government.
Violating all my amendments and constitutional rights. I'm never supposed to be put in jail for this. Never.
Well, they're pointing to the interviews and the book.
Oh, man, I didn't violate that
And during our visit in January, Davis continues to insist he's innocent.
They ain't got me. They ain't got no car. They ain't got no gun. They don't have no forensics. They don't got me. They got everybody on video. Do they got me on video?
By our visit in February, Davis was also facing charges in connection with this incident in jail.
That dude came trying to attack me. I just defend myself.
During each visit from September through as recent as Tuesday, Davis insists he'll soon be a free man.
I ain't no flight risk or no threat to the community.
At the time of his arrest, Davis was living in Henderson, a grandpa by then who had fought cancer. Now he is charged in one of the most notorious murder cases in America.
A jury trial is scheduled for early 2026. Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
And Davis's next court appearance is scheduled for June.
We anticipate presenting a competing narrative and a more truthful narrative concerning those events of September. Our client was not involved in the shooting.
He's wrong in my life, but I've done nothing criminally.
Not involved in the shooting death of rap icon Tupac Shakur. It's a huge murder case that happened right here in Las Vegas, and tonight it's taking yet another turn. Thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. The man accused of orchestrating Tupac's murder has new attorneys, and they are speaking first with 8 News Now investigator David Charnes about how they plan to prove Keffe D is innocent.
Well, Duane Davis has repeatedly said that he handed a person the gun gun used to shoot and kill Tupac just right here off the Strip nearly 30 years ago. Tonight, his attorneys say don't believe him because lying to the public isn't a crime. You don't think we should believe him?
In reference to his claiming to have committed a murder that he did not? No, don't believe him in reference to that.
62-year-old Duane Davis's new attorneys say we shouldn't take their clients' public statements about the murder of Tupac Shakur at face value. A grand jury indicting Davis 2 years ago for the rapper's 1996 murder. Now Robert Draskevich and Michael Pandulo are taking over. Draskevich most recently representing ex-politician Robert Tellis in his murder trial last year. Davis's case set for trial next winter.
Usually cold cases that are brought many, many years later are brought on the basis of strong forensic evidence.
DNA.
So we don't have that here.
What we know prosecutors have, Davis's own words, whether true or not. In a book published with a co-writer in 2019, Davis says he was in a group that followed Shakur that night, eventually leading to him handing a gun to the shooter. That, and other statements and interviews, leading prosecutors to bring the case to a grand jury.
Did he write that book himself? Are those statements accurate?
It's not a crime to claim that you did something that you didn't in fact do.
Davis's history with police, both in Nevada and California, dates back decades and focuses more on drug dealings than Shakur's death. His attorneys say anything he said about the murder should include the lens of his receiving immunity and making money.
But we anticipate providing a much more in-depth and true explanation of why those statements were made.
Possible witnesses who would provide testimony at trial: Suge Knight, who himself was injured in that shooting, and Sean Diddy Combs, who ran a rival record label. Now, Combs has denied any involvement in that. It is important to mention we don't really know what prosecutors plan to present at trial, and if that includes other evidence we haven't seen yet. The trial is scheduled to begin next February, and those attorneys say they will be prepared for that date. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
Earlier this summer, a jury found Davis guilty for taking part in a jail fight. The sentencing for that scheduled to happen in just a few weeks.
It is video that you saw first here on 8, a fight between an inmate and the man charged in the killing of rapper Tupac Shakur. Well, today, a jury finding Duane Keffe D. Davis guilty for taking part in that fight, and today he learned his punishment. 8 News Now investigator David Charnes telling us what it is and also what it means for the upcoming murder trial.
Duane Davis has been in custody in that jail for about 2 years. He was arrested in September 2023, and he had a couple of things to tell the judge before she sentenced him.
This is wrong. I got attacked.
62-year-old Duane Keffe D. Davis tells a Clark County judge he's the victim, months after a jury took just 90 minutes to find him guilty of fighting with another inmate inside the Clark County Detention Center. That December 2024 fight caught on surveillance video, showing the two men wrestling on the ground before guards separate them.
My parents brought me up to protect yourself. And that's all I was doing was protecting myself. And this is totally wrong, man.
Tuesday's sentencing for the jail fight coming after weeks of delays and after prosecutors played audio of Davis where they say he proclaimed victory. Davis, arrested nearly 2 years ago on accusations he ordered the 1996 murder of rapper Tupac Shakur, saying he's a target in the facility and that he knows better.
It seemed like a setup to me, and it was wrong, man. I'm trying to do my time as best as possible, trying to stay out of trouble. The dude attacked me.
So with credit for time served, Davis will be up for parole for the fight in about a year. Meantime, the murder trial is scheduled to begin in February. At the Regional Justice Center, I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
So as we first told you, Davis recently changed attorneys for that particular trial. Those attorneys telling us they are prepared for that trial, which is scheduled to start next year.
Lawyers for the man charged with murdering the rapper Tupac Shakur filing a motion this week. 8 News Now investigator Kyle Payne joins us live in studio with more. Kyle, why now?
Brian, the murder trial for Duane Davis, best known as Keffe D, is coming right up this summer, and his new lawyer wants to get some of the evidence the state plans to use against him tossed as soon as he can.
They have a right to their point of view. We have a right to ours, and nobody has a monopoly on the truth, or in this case, the facts.
And some of those facts, Davis's attorney, Robert Draskovich, wants to clarify, as he did in this 24-page motion to suppress evidence that Metro Police seized in a nighttime search of Davis's home. Davis's lawyer writing the police didn't have good reason to break down Davis's door in the middle of the night, so to speak, and that this affidavit Metro showed a judge in order to get that warrant shouldn't have been enough for her to allow the nighttime search. The motion to suppress says the court was misled and that there was bad faith, meaning the judge should toss any evidence the police recovered that night. The 8 News Now investigator spoke with Draskovich earlier this year.
We keep our eye on the ball. What we do is we lay out all the tasks that need to occur before the trial date, investigation that needs to occur, interviews that need to take place, subpoenas that need to be issued. We are just beginning that now.
And now, this motion to suppress, accompanied by 186 pages of supporting documents, including a list of items the cops took from Davis's home after the search, like a USB drive, an iPhone, iPads, laptops, and other tablets. The second page showing the police also grabbed a copy of Vibe magazine on the murder victim, the rapper Tupac Shakur, a copy of the book Compton Street Legends, in which Davis is alleged to have confessed to the murder. District Attorney Steve Wolfson, back when Davis was arrested over 2 years ago, standing behind the evidence Davis is now challenging.
This is an important case. We wanted to make sure we did it right. We wanted to make sure we had legally admissible evidence. We wanted to make sure that we felt comfortable that we had sufficient legal evidence. You know, if you're going to charge a person with murder, he has a right to believe that the system would only bring charges if there was sufficient legal evidence.
Davis's attorney is no stranger to high-profile cases. Robert Draskovich just defended a former porn star who was convicted of beheading her ex-husband, and he represented disgraced politician Robert Tellis in his murder case a year ago, August. Brian.
Duane Davis and the lawyers on both sides will appear in court January 6 to argue the latest motion. Davis is serving a sentence at High Desert State Prison for a fight he started when he was in Clark County Detention Center awaiting his murder trial.
Prosecutors say the man charged in connection with Tupac Shakur's murder repeatedly confessed to it. That in response to a motion by lawyers for Duane Keffe D. Davis to toss evidence police collected in a nighttime search of Davis's home. The lawyers called that search unnecessary. Documents say police seized several computers, tablets, hard drives, firearm cartridges, and black tubes containing photographs. Prosecutors say Davis was a high-ranking leader of the Southside Compton gang Crips and served prison time as recently as 2015.